And it looks like we are live. Welcome back to Mind Your Biz. My name is Seth.
And I'm Mrs. Mind Your Biz.
And today we've got all kinds of articles lined up for you. We've got news about Bitcoin. We've got news about NFTs. We've got news about actually some that we weren't going to initially talk about, but I want to at least make mention of flat coins versus stable coins, the concept of a flat coin versus a stable coin.
Yeah, this is my lesson for the morning.
Yeah, right. So here's the thing. Everybody's learning something new in crypto every single day. I'm no exception. Nobody's any exception. That said, let's jump straight in. The Fear and Greed Index. Oh, and you know what? We actually have some articles that are not being mentioned at all today. Let me take that off of our story menu for the day. Wasn't able to update that. This is kind of the difficulty with going live like this, is we can line up the content. It's the formatting that winds up being a little more tricky. If you're watching a lot of other indie published channels, then you know the struggle is very, very real. We don't even have a thumbnail person. We do everything in-house. So your support means the world to us. Hit the thumbs up, share this while we're live. It really does make a difference. And you really are the reason that we make this media. We're not doing this for somebody else. So thank you in advance. But let's take a look at that Fear and Greed Index again. Mrs. Mind Your Biz, what do you see here?
Well, let's see. We're at 64. We are up. People are getting a bit more happy about Bitcoin, I think.
Yeah, but the thing is, what goes up
must
usually
come down.
it usually does. Yeah, right. Here's the thing: the irrational exuberance that most people experience, and we can see kind of a trend line here. It's not always grounded in the actual market performance. Sometimes people just get a little bit overly optimistic, and this is the daily chart, rather our 1 month view on the chart, kind of showing us that over the last month we've been all the way down towards levels of fear and then back up, pretty much matching the price. People always think that it's the other way around. And here on Mind Your Biz, we talk about how really price is usually the leading indicator. Then people feel euphoric. Then they get excited and they push price higher, or they set themselves up for wreckage. And we have to look at more factors than just that.
Now, that's all opinion, right?
Yeah. I mean, hey, have I red screened them lately? Let's do it. Hey, this is not what you think it is. If you're here for investing advice, I don't do that. And besides, you haven't retained my services. You would know if you were my client, because we would have an official agreement, and yeah, you'd have some kind of legal recourse because you have in writing that I am giving you legal advice. Not at all what I'm doing. Legally binding advice. What we're doing instead is just talking about the markets. We're talking about fundamentals in the markets. So, make your own decisions. Own your own choices. Automatic Beats in the chat says, GM. Paul D says, Zano interview was good, by the way. Thank you so much for that. Really appreciate it. It's the kind of media that I like publishing, and I've got plenty more where that came from. We're just kind of slow dripping that content out while we do other stuff. So thank you for your patience and your support. Thank you for sharing this media. It's really important, right? What we do on the regular market updates is it's good, but what we do by way of what I do by way of the developer interviews, I think is far more important long term. It's evergreen content, and it's more than that. Beyond a content strategy, air quotes, I think I'm actually helping humanity by helping people understand better privacy technology and blockchain technology. The better you understand it, the more capable you are of making good decisions. I don't know. That's my reasoning. My rationale. Yeah, whatever you want to call it. All right. Market is not what people think. That irrational exuberance, Mama Biz, what do you see here?
Lots of dots in the red, except for Hex and XRP.
Yeah, it's never the one that the fundamental analysts want to go up. It's always something else, right? So XRP has been inexplicably up. That was after the swap lines were extended. I thought for sure it didn't make any sense. It just wouldn't go up, but it did. But I mean, it's still just a couple of points up, or a couple of percentage points up. Got Hex also that is currently sitting at 8 cents, a little over 8 cents. Recent local top of over 9 cents. So for anybody who is involved in that ecosystem or curious about it, it's still probably a decent time to buy. I've been saying for a while that if you're interested in Hex, that anything below 12 cents is going to be long term is going to feel like a steal, I think. But not yet. Right? We got so close to 1 cent. Would have been like timing the bottom. I don't know who can do that, but there you have it. Also, FEI, F-E-I, is a stable coin that is fluctuating. We can see it in real time. It's below its dollar peg, but it's apparently coming back up. Actually, it's going back down. So, yeah, everything else, totally in the red. Bitcoin, no exception. Falling off a cliff. And we'll take a look at that chart. This is where I think, again, you can see I'm on the free trial of TradingView. I don't do fancy charts. There are no diamonds. There are no pendants. There are no heads and shoulders. I'm not going to talk to you about a V-shaped recovery. We just do a couple of trend lines that are based on a one-day chart, one-day candlestick, and that we zoom out on, and we look at a couple of ranges where it might make sense to dollar cost average, because too many people get mired in the specifics of technical analysis and say like, oh, it's so great. Look, my trades win more than 50% of the time. Do they? Are we sure? Definitely? Because I don't know. I think throwing darts at a board gives you almost exactly the same amount of success rate. But I don't know. Mama Biz, what do you think about all this stuff? Is it voodoo magic?
It is. To me, it is.
Okay, I kind of agree with you. We now have these three tops, and I'm just wondering if, as we zoom out, right, people talking about like, oh yeah, it's going to be a head and shoulders. No, I don't think I see that. I think I see us being able to, like, the wicks are taller, and the lows are getting lower every time that we try to find new support higher. We retest new highs. It just keeps on going lower. I'm not sure that I'm convinced that we're going to see some kind of like massive recovery after this one. I think, I mean, if we're going to see a trend like up only, then we would have to, in the next week or so, we'd have to start seeing some kind of a move to above 30K. Maybe I'm just like, I'm just not educated enough on this. Right? I only ever use these two chopsticks, right? These two lines. But generally speaking, we've done pretty well. I've seen channels that actually do technical analysis that don't necessarily do any better than we do. It's just looking at the charts and having a rough prediction of up or down. That said, I'm not saying that it's definitely going to go up or down. I'm just saying that these look like some patterns that are developing, and you have to figure it out on your own. If you want to do the technical analysis, voodoo magic, you got to figure that out on your own. I'm not here to teach it to you. So anyway, that's the new setting of the chopsticks. Going to lock those in right there. Leave them alone. Not worry about them. But I think we are seeing red candles that are either the same length or deeper every time it corrects, right? And this is not the first day that we're dipping. But we do see kind of a repeat right there as well. Plus, it's a Monday. Generally speaking, Mondays are extremely volatile in the crypto markets because people are kind of waking up from their weekend and deciding what they're going to do with their portfolios and either mega dumping or mega buying. It's a very tricky time to get involved. Like, it's kind of old Bitcoin logic is, don't get emotional on Mondays. Just chill out. So anyway, maybe we do see a correction there, but I think that we've seen over the last, we can count candles out here. We can go to the 1 week, right? And just kind of take a look at what that is like instead. And yeah, it looks like, there we go. Yeah, every couple of weeks we're having two to three red candle weeks. And then we have one massive candle up. And that's kind of been the movement over the last couple of little cycles here. And I just don't know that we're going to break out of that easily, right? Like, we could have another three down, another week that's broadly speaking down. And this mega pump candle here, like, I think it's out of range for what we've been experiencing lately. I don't care about the FOMC announcements. I don't care about some of the other banking announcements. Bitcoin, the last time we had this kind of volatility, didn't necessarily give us infinite price printing, right? It didn't give us like infinite upside. And I don't think it's going to magically give us infinite upside now. But I don't know. Again, you do your own research. Figure it out for yourself. I'm not here to tell you exactly how that's going to work. Just a reminder, hashrate.no is a tool that you can use. This is not sponsored. I don't know who runs this site, but it is a tool you can use to check out your mining profitability. I will not be going over it today, but I wanted to mention this is a tool you can use to raise your crypto mining IQ and plan your next hardware mining purchases. And just, figure out, even with CPUs, even with some of the other ancillary components you're going to use in your mining rigs, you can take a look at that. One strong recommendation from me is if you are considering CPU mining or any kind of mining rig with GPUs, CPUs, or FPGAs, consider getting a strong enough CPU that you can run full nodes or validator infrastructure, validator nodes on top of your GPU mining hardware or your FPGA mining hardware. There's huge opportunity there. And in my opinion, you're already running that rig. It would be foolish not to give it dual purpose so it can do some mining and it can do some validating. That could wind up getting you more coins at the exact same cost basis for your ongoing expense. So there, I said it. Scavenge all the cycles. Make it work harder. Squeeze every last bit of profit out of that hardware. Leave no stone unturned. Leave no compute cycle unexploited.
Lick the plate clean.
Yes, lick the plate clean, damn it. We're going into a depression, haven't you heard? All right, so let's get into the news. What do we got here?
Okay, NFT trader accidentally burns 129K CryptoPunk. Ouch.
I know, right? And they even named and shamed this investor named, trader apparently, Brandon Riley. And I mean, if you get into high frequency flips of any kind of cryptocurrency on chain, this is a real risk.
Well, and I guess it was an accident. He claims that, I mean, he was, his name's all out there because he was posting about this all over Twitter, but he was just trying to wrap it for some liquidity. He was intending to keep it, and he just accidentally in the process sent it to a burn address.
Oh my gosh. And I'm so glad that these are concepts that you understand now, Mrs. Mind Your Biz.
I know.
This is
I'm
great.
learning.
Yeah, but a CryptoPunk, here's the thing. A lot of our mining-oriented audience may not even know that CryptoPunks, they came out before the current NFT standards. And so they have to be wrapped in order to trade in certain ways.
I kind of know what wrapped means, but I don't know what the rest of what you said means.
It's okay. Here's the thing. You did understand what you just laid out for the audience, and here's proof, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen. Here's proof that your significant other can get onboarded into the ecosystem and learn what they need to know. Like anybody can learn this stuff.
There is hope.
Yeah, anybody can learn this stuff. It can be taught. It can be learned. So very important to realize. But
if I, the mighty technical breaker of like pushing a button and making it explode, can learn this stuff, you can too.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited about this. But yeah, this guy apparently 77 ETH down the crapper, just gone. Can't the devs do something? Can't he call customer support for CryptoPunks?
Nope.
And Ethereum?
It's gone.
Hey, is the flip side of not your keys, not your cheese is that this is dangerous freedom. You are free to throw your money away.
By accident.
Or on purpose. Or because somebody else tricked you into doing it.
Yeah.
Right? So just stay safe. Double, triple check your addresses. Double, triple check whether or not you're going to sign a contract that's safe. And always, after you're done with smart contracts, revoke them from your wallets. We need to go over a tutorial on how to do that.
Oh, yeah. That didn't I understood the terminology, but I don't understand the implications of what you just said.
Yeah. So when you leave your wallet, give it permissions to be used by a certain smart contract or by a website. Mm-hmm. Those permissions stay open. They stay available until you tell them that they're no longer to be used.
Okay.
Right. So it's kind of like plumbing, right? Where you just decide, okay, well, I'm gonna make an available route here. So
you got to turn the spigot off, or the water's going to keep flowing and flood the bathroom.
Exactly. Well, think of it like our sprinkler system. We've got a pretty interesting sprinkler system on over by the garden, right? So where you got that series of spigots, a series of ball valves, right? And so if you leave one on that you didn't intend to leave on, and then you turn on another one down the line, you can have a pretty interesting flow that you didn't expect.
Yeah.
And with smart contracts, you're not talking about water, right? You're talking about value. You're talking about your ether or your stable coins, your NFTs. So, and you're also giving those permissions to somebody else down the line that could be the smart contract issuer that's over at that next side of the spigot, right? Where they can just decide thank you very much for leaving that on, drain.
No.
Right? So it's kind of an issue.
Got it.
But yeah, to use a bad analogy. But yeah, let's get into our next bit of news. We got Michael Saylor. This guy apparently paid off his Silvergate loan. What does he do immediately?
Buys more Bitcoin.
This guy borrowed $205 million from Silvergate last March to buy the Bitcoin and already paid it off. Automatic Beats says, please go over that, apparently revoking smart contracts. So we'll do that. We'll do that in a separate segment. We will not do it in the live stream, but thank you for the heads up. I know it's important. So we'll do just a quick, probably only take 3 minutes to do that tutorial, but we will do that.
Okay.
So, but yeah, I mean, points for bullishness. Nobody can deny this guy is absolutely a Bitcoin bull.
Yeah.
Right? Like there he is, putting his money where his mouth is, putting borrowed money where his mouth is, big time. And hey, I see that we've got a little viewer pop. Please do me a solid and smash that like button. Be sure that you are supportive of the stream while you're watching. I mean, again, while we're live is when it counts the most. Really appreciate you being here. Really appreciate you sharing the way that you have. But do be supportive while you're here. If you're just new to the channel, then be sure that you share this with somebody else that wants to learn about cryptocurrency more broadly, not just number go up, technical analysis, charts. Maybe I'm going to do some shorts or longs. Maybe I'm going to get my coins onto a centralized exchange and make more dollars. No, here we're interested in getting more crypto because the dollars aren't going to save you unless you eventually flip them into crypto. And if you want to understand why, keep watching. We will explain why. We'll have a dialogue too. So thanks for being here. Thank you for being supportive. But tell me more about this article, Mama Biz. What do we got here?
Basically, he was able to completely clear out that debt, and well, like we said, he turned around and he just bought a lot of Bitcoin.
Yeah, I mean, like that. Yeah, kind of cut and dried, right? The guy went nearly. I mean, you don't want to call it degenerate. It's not degenerate. He's putting his money into a good, clean asset, right? Like, but it almost comes across as degenerate, right? Where it's like the moment the bank gives me another line of credit, I'm using all of it.
Yep.
It's kind of crazy. That said, I mean, he can't not sell forever, right? Like people think that it's just gonna like the gravy train's gonna keep on running for this guy. That can't be true. Like there's no possible way he could just keep doing exactly this thing. There we go. So, right, current cost basis at a little over $23,000. It's not a bad strategy if it does pan out that we stay over 30,000. I mean, even if here's the thing, we can barely cover the profit margin and then the maker taker fees for him to sell some of this in the future. And as a business, it would still make sense for them to do this and have this on their balance sheet and rotate in and out of those profits. Right. People who are only in it for the tech were like, yeah, he's not really a diamond hand Bitcoin guy. He's going to dump on us. This is bad. It's totally possible that he could dump on you. But I think we get a little bit too upset at people like Saylor for not being ideologues. Right, as ideologically minded as they want him to be, and then on the flip side, not being as cutthroat by selling at the times that he wants to sell. Like, he's working an okay strategy. Actually, I'm not mad at him. I don't think he's as diehard a Bitcoiner as he lets on, as he tries to pretend. Really? Yeah, really. I think that there are some things about him that he keeps close to the chest.
I can see that.
But still. He's probably been net positive for Bitcoin and cryptocurrency in general. So, like, not mad at him. Keep doing your thing, Michael Saylor. Good for you. That said, he's not the biggest Bitcoin whale.
This is so ironic.
Let's talk about that.
So, the U.S. government holds more Bitcoin than MicroStrategy and Tesla combined. I mean, I think that may mean that the U.S. government owns more Bitcoin than any private company. I mean, I might be wrong, but that's what I think we're seeing here in this headline.
Yeah, it definitely holds more Bitcoin than these two companies combined. But there may be some others. Yeah, there may be some others that do hold more. There could be some exchanges that hold more. And then definitely in the aggregate, there are several exchanges that hold more than all of these characters because it's their business to have the liquidity of Bitcoin for when traders need to pull their funds off exchange. And then on their own order books, they need to prove solvency. Bitcoin is one of those assets where it's really important to be able to prove your reserves. And FTX didn't do that, right? I think we discovered FTX almost held no Bitcoin.
That's so wrong. What a mess.
Yeah, it's totally wrong. Especially considering the asset where you can just have one public wallet where you say, hey, we have reserves. We'll prove it. Here's how. Like, just look at this wallet. That's us.
Yeah. And if you, I mean, you guys are welcome to read this article a little bit further, but basically most of the value of these Bitcoins, they came from the seizure of illegal activity. So the government, seized Bitcoin from this fraudster, that fraudster, but in the end, they wind up having more than these companies who bought Bitcoin legally.
Yeah. This is very interesting, though, that apparently that the authorities that held those over 215,000 Bitcoin, which, yeah, they're not kidding. It does dwarf the Tesla and MicroStrategy holdings. That of that, they sent over 9,000 Bitcoin to Coinbase in early March. Wait a second. This, to me, sounds like an implicit endorsement of Coinbase by the U.S. government.
Yeah.
Why else would they do it?
Right.
In the same way that USDC, when there was risk of it depegging, the U.S. government was very quick to make depositors whole and ensure that that Circle Group and the over $3 billion that they had in Silicon Valley Bank was made whole.
Yeah.
So, I think this isn't a controversial take. I think a lot of crypto people in the space are kind of agreeing and seeing very clearly that the U.S. government has some kind of an interest, a special interest, in seeing an American company, a mostly American company, Circle Group, seeing them win in the market.
Yeah.
And having USDC be sort of a de facto stablecoin, the de facto CBDC, while we transition into FedNow and while we transition towards an actual CBDC, that USDC and Circle Group and then Coinbase, one of the partner companies, that they win.
Well, it's interesting. I didn't get this in the lineup today, but Cathie Wood of ARK Investments did just buy a bunch of Coinbase stock.
Yeah.
I think that was in the news today.
Yeah, and the coin ticker symbol, I was dead set against it when it first launched because it basically instantly dumped. It was it was mega dump, wreckage when Coinbase did their IPO, and everybody, all these Bitcoin bulls on what's the name of the stupid Clubhouse? There we go. That stupid iPhone app that everybody fell in love with, but I had to use for a time to get used to it. I heard all these Bitcoin bulls oh, I'm so excited. Coinbase is going to do an IPO. It's like, dude, you call yourself a real Bitcoiner and you're excited about this centralized exchange holding people's Bitcoin for them, this custodial service, holding people's Bitcoin for them and gouging them for the price of Bitcoin? What's wrong with you? But it instantly dumped. I predicted that it would not be an uplift to the market, and it wasn't. But Cathie Wood is not a dummy. Maybe she's buying a distressed asset that actually has some upside. So, yeah.
Or maybe she's just seeing where the regulations are going and who's getting the support from the government.
Yeah.
I guess, yeah.
That's fair.
If you can't beat them, join them. I don't know.
Well, she's not exactly a proper decentralization maxi. She's a capitalist, right? She is, and she's a damn good one too. So right. Yeah, she didn't get to where she is by making dumb investment choices. I agree with you, but yeah. So there you go. Apparently there were new Bitcoins that were seized from the Bitfinex hackers, right? Of Heather or Ilya Lichtenstein and his wife Heather Morgan. Those crazy Bitfinex hackers. That was almost 100,000 Bitcoin right there. So yeah, the U.S. government gets richer and richer off the backs of seizure, right? Yeah, so it's essentially civil. It's not quite civil asset forfeiture, but it is seizure from crimes. So there you go. And then more from Silk Road. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. I'm not a huge fan. I'm not a fan of the U.S. government becoming a de facto whale in Bitcoin because they're out wrecking people and taking their coins.
Right.
Should also mention that if you're not extremely careful with the way that you hold your coins and your seed phrase, you can be compelled by the U.S. government or by local law enforcement to surrender your seed phrase, to give up your coins. Just be aware of that. That's a real thing. It's a real threat. If you're not thinking about how you would protect against that, in the same way that you might literally, bury a case, right, a trunk of gold doubloons or treasure. If you're not thinking about how you would do that, you should be thinking more adversarially because, it's always only it's always just a question of dates as to when you've said or done something that somebody somewhere believes is illegal.
Ugh.
I mean, talk to like Young Americans for Liberty, and they contend, I think rightfully, that most people are breaking a serious law every single day, whether they know it or not. Most people are breaking some law because we have so damn many of them. We have just thousands upon thousands of laws that in some cases make no sense.
Yeah.
Anyway, just saying, be aware your stuff can be taken from you, but plan ahead for that. All right, we got a quick one on First Mover, right? First Mover Americas.
So it's First Citizens Bank has
From First Mover. There you go.
Yeah, from First Mover Americas. First Citizens Bank has bought the SVB Bank, and I believe they're supposed to open up on Monday for deposits.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Then, I mean, geez.
So that kind of closes that loop. Of course, I think the FDIC lost $20 billion in this deal, is what some of the headlines said. But at the end of the day, that's who the new bank is for people who previously banked with SVB.
Well, and at the end of the day, you talk about the FDIC losing $20 billion. It's all right. They're just going to print it. They'll be okay.
It's okay. It's magic money. Brrr.
Oh my gosh. Can't believe it. And then out of the G7, if you're not familiar with that, it is 7 industrialized nations. There are a couple different groups. You hear of the G20, you hear of the G6, right? Then the G7. It's just a summit of 7 huge industrialized nations. It's nothing fancy. I don't have the list of which 7 nations it is.
I think it's Japan, England, Canada, France, U.S., and a couple others, but those are the ones off the top of my head. A few more European countries too. Yeah,
got it. Okay, yeah, but it would not be it's not Australia. It is because I know that I
don't know.
It's weird. There's so many little groups, right, that tend to roll together, and like we have the Five Eyes nations, which are all of the English speaking countries throughout the world, major English speaking countries throughout the world that share intelligence. But the sort of G summit, right, or the G7 summit is more about policy, international policy. So yeah, to your point, France has to be included, and then Japan. It's being hosted by Japan in Japan, so you would presume they're included too, and yeah, their prime minister is going to host it. They're going to be talking about their joint intentions for tougher crypto policies. And here's what I wanted to highlight was that Japan, they are already kind of known to be a tightly regulated crypto space. FTX Japan, their depositors got their money back.
It's a pretty big deal, actually.
Yeah. And that's because Japan was like, yeah, we're going to basically like round you all up, throw you in jail, and friggin' publicly cane you.
Yikes.
Not quite. That's not quite
metaphorically speaking.
Yeah, metaphorically, they're just very tougher on certain kinds of crime, especially financial crime, in Japan. So
I think the Japanese just handle money differently than we do, and I'm just gonna say better.
Probably.
Yeah,
I think you're probably right. That said, I think for that reason, you'd probably hate Japan. Probably hate living there.
No, I don't think I. Well, there are other reasons why I might not like. I'd like to visit. I don't know if I'd like to live there.
Yeah, we'll find out this year, right? So. Anyway, just wanted to throw that out there. There are they wanted the last, so the G20 summit in September hosted in India. They talked about cryptocurrencies there. India is known for sort of its anti-crypto stance as well. We're coming up on almost half an hour, so I'm gonna quickly get us through the last few articles that we have. But let me ask you, Mind Your Biz community, what do you think of these international communities, these international summits, trying to decide for us in the United States what crypto policy should be? Do you think we should have lobbyists there? Is it even possible for us to have lobbyists there at the G7 summit? I
don't know enough about it.
Right?
But it's kind of important.
Yeah. Because you got all these people talking about, something must be done about this cause. Okay, well, that's cool. Why aren't there representatives from each one of your countries that are from lobbyist groups instead of political groups? Right? Or are there? We'll find out. And let's see. We got some news coming out of Be in Crypto. I'll just quickly go over this one.
Mm-hmm.
Gucci is doing a deal with Yuga Labs. Why does this matter?
Well, it's a sign of mass adoption. We have more people spending money with a big name brand instead of just our little, Web3 niche community. This is just a sign that more people are getting on the bandwagon of Web3 and NFTs and crypto.
Yeah, 100%. And that That said, I'm also glad that it's Gucci and not like Balenciaga or some country or some company that's like absolutely embroiled in scandal right now.
How do we know Gucci isn't embroiled in scandal?
To your point, yeah, I mean, like, given dates and times, they could be doing something really, really wrong that we're just not aware of. But Balenciaga is just like, they're flagrant about it. Gucci is not. They're not out there making themselves an obvious target for parents to be like, yeah, no way. Because for my part, I'm like, dude, I see any news about Balenciaga and I'm like, just nuke it from orbit.
Ban them. Yeah.
Like I don't want to hear about it
I used to like Balenciaga handbags, and I'm so sad that they're evil.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. There you go. Maybe they'll reform. Maybe NFTs will reform them.
We'll see.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, I don't think I want to throw them any support.
Right. The Blockchain Report says, love seeing more of your live streams. Really appreciate that, Blockchain Report. Dave Flowers, hey, everybody, he says. And the Automatic Beat says, get BBT there in reference to the G7 summit.
What's BDT? Sorry.
BBT, well, he's referring to Michael Carter from Bits Be Trippin'. And I think you're right. Michael Carter would be a phenomenal lobbyist on behalf of proof of work specifically, because here in the United States, man, the hash rate dominance, the hash rate wars, they will increase. And when you have a country like countries like Japan and France that have been so smart about their nuclear reserves, their nuclear energy, their clean nukes. I mean, most people don't know France is run more than 70% from clean nuclear energy.
I didn't know that.
The entire country.
Huh.
I mean, yes, they've gotten some things that are cause for concern. Nuclear energy must be handled very carefully, but France has done it very well for decades, for as long as we've been alive.
Probably because they're not on a fault line.
That helps. Yeah, right. That definitely helps. That said, not every single state in the U.S. is on a fault line either. Like we got plenty of places where we could set up clean nukes around this country and we could export energy. And even with the net loss of exporting the energy, we could wean ourselves from dependence on oil because of the way that we run our systems. And I mean, we'll talk about it another time, but we talk about hash rate dominance and doing proof of work. Clean nuclear energy should be part of that conversation.
I can see how excited this makes you.
Yeah, it's a little too exciting. Anyway, so talking about, I mean, I would vote for Michael Carter to go and to some of these summits. He would be a phenomenal spokesperson. He's got my vote if it comes to that. And then let's move on. As far as international news, Venezuela, we'll eject those cookies real fast. They apparently are doing an anti-corruption investigation.
Yeah, there's been, I guess, a change in the government, and they've been doing some investigation into their crypto industry, and they just shut everything down, the mining, the exchanges, while they are looking into what has happened there. So bad news for anyone in crypto in Venezuela.
Yeah, that's really too bad. But here's the thing. The reason they've been looking into illegal mining operations is because the people of Venezuela had their currency so devalued so fast that it was a matter of life or death for some people. When you have your own country's fiat currency so worthless that it's being used as toilet paper or being left in the streets, they have to do something to get their hands on value so they can survive.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah, they mined illegally, but they did it out of self-preservation. They violated unjust laws, which as an American, I can get behind. Just saying. I really, my heart goes out to the people of Venezuela because they were put in that position where they had to.
They've been through a lot.
Yeah, a whole lot. So it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. They've been trying in Venezuela for a long time to grasp for any additional amount of control over people's wallets and mining operations as they possibly can. I mean, if you were to send mining gear to somebody in Venezuela, their version of the postal service would, if they could detect that it was mining gear, they would seize it, no matter who you sent it to.
Oh, yeah, because they would seize anything of value that was being mailed in. I mean, we knew people who, when things were really bad, they had family. We knew people from Venezuela who had family who were literally starving because of the political climate there. And they couldn't get money and goods to their family members who were in, really, really dire straits.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a special place in hell for some of the leaders that caused that in Venezuela because it goes far beyond. Yeah. We're going to excuse Mama Biz while we wrap up the stream here. Let me get our last couple of articles out of the way. And Paul D's Nuts says, I say we give California back to Mexico and go 100% nuclear energy. If by giving California back to Mexico, you mean we give California back to Texas, I agree. Well, actually, I didn't quite stretch that far. But the point is, you know what I'm saying. There are a lot more states that actually belong to Texas than we realize. And you're right. California probably belongs to Mexico. New Mexico actually belongs to Texas. We could redraw a lot of lines and make the world better, actually. But, hey, I thought you were going to be gone for a while.
No, just 2 seconds. Are we talking about California falling into the ocean? I hear that so often.
No, we're not. Automatic Pizza also asks, could you do a cybersecurity video after the Linus Tech Tips hack? Wow, that one really got me because I was thinking.
The tongue twister.
Well, because I'm thinking about Linux.
She sells seashells by the seashore.
Yes.
Try it again, hun.
She does.
You got this.
She's so sassy. All right. So, could you do a cybersecurity video after the Linus Tech Tip hack? Get some of your technical insights. I appreciate you asking. I'll cut to the chase because it doesn't require full video. As much as I appreciate Naomi Brockwell, doesn't require full video, doesn't require clickbait. He had his cookies stolen from his system, and that allowed the user to spoof a session in YouTube. It's an old hack. It's a very, very old hack, and it's really hard to defend against. So, yeah. You would get rid of that by using an amnesiac browser that deletes all of your cookies after you shut it down every single session. Done. You're welcome. But yes, I can do a video too. All right. I know that was. I didn't mean to throw shade at Naomi because she makes great content.
You like Naomi a lot,
and she makes phenomenal content. That's why it's really engaging.
I only know she exists because you told me about her.
Yeah, she makes cool content. But let me do it the nerdy way. Yeah, I'll do it the nerdy way. Well, we'll do another video.
Nerd.
We'll talk a little bit about all kinds of security stuff. I am looking at creating a full course on privacy and security for crypto people, by crypto people. So look for that on Mind Your Biz. That is kind of a new thing.
What do you think, everybody? You want to see more privacy stuff from Mind Your Biz?
Somebody literally asked me to write a book recently. They were like, hey, could you write a book? That would be easier for me. And I'm like, a book?
Do it. Do it.
A book. Okay, maybe
it's not like
book.
it's the first time you've written a book.
That's true. I have written. I did write a book 5 years ago about the ABCs of crypto, and then. But my thinking is something along the lines of Coinbase Earn, where there can be some tokenized rewards, where like you earn an NFT by going through a chapter and actually taking a bit of a challenge quiz, so that you can prove to yourself that you know it, you understand the content really well. Would you appreciate that? And involves like video and written text. That'd be a little easier than a book, I think, for most people.
I like that.
Okay. And that's kind of where I'm thinking. But you tell me, Mind Your Biz audience, if that makes sense to you. And I will go that route. But Africa, back in the news again. Only this time, it's very, very good news.
Yes.
What do we got?
So, Africa embraces Bitcoin as alternative to U.S. dollar crisis. So, the U.S. sneezes and everybody else gets a cold, right? And that's what's been happening with our money. So, Africa is running to Bitcoin in response.
Yeah, and it's phenomenal. We're finally seeing the adoption in the places that it needs to be adopted in order to have that narrative of Bitcoin being a hedge against inflation, right? And it didn't work last time. We saw inflation beginning here in the United States. We're like, Bitcoin will save us, and it mega dumped. And we were all like, oh my gosh, what just happened? Our narrative is like shattered. But it's because people around the world didn't feel inflation the same way yet, I think.
Well, and maybe just didn't understand Bitcoin and cryptocurrency yet either. It was still more a niche thing, niche.
It's okay. It works either way.
Yeah. But it just wasn't as well known.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's my take on it.
I think you're probably right. And then Lightning Network apparently is assisting in adoption there. I have my concerns about Lightning Network. I probably need to do a dedicated video just on Lightning Network versus Bitcoin, because Lightning Network is not Bitcoin. And Bitcoin is definitely not Lightning Network.
No, we're just talking about a tool, right?
It is a tool, but it's relatively centralized compared to Bitcoin. And there are some dangers. There are some risks.
Right.
Lightning is not the panacea that some people would have you believe.
It's basically about ease of use, right?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
But more from Africa. Apparently, these two gentlemen, let's get their names again. Let's make them famous. They did good work here. Chris Maurice and Justin Poirot.
Might be Rue.
Sorry.
Poirot. Poirot.
Peru. Ha, Peru. There you go.
He probably doesn't even pronounce it that way.
Totally doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah. But apparently they were roommates at the University of Auburn in Alabama. And they decided, you know what, we're going to launch an exchange in Africa called Yellow Card. We covered this the other day.
Yeah.
We talked about Yellow Card being a platform, and it's by these two young American boys
Yeah.
that just decided to launch something from their dorm. And apparently now they've got how much liquidity?
It's something in the billions, 1.75 billion.
You love to see it, right? You love to see innovation rewarded by market movement, and they've done it. They've done really, really well. So Yellow Card, I didn't realize was run by these two young students, and here they are, absolutely winning. Love to see that. Mind Your Biz community, we're going to call it a live stream at that. And anything else you want to leave the miners and the audience with?
Stay sharp.
Yeah, a lot going on. We'll come back at you either tomorrow or a couple times this week with another live stream about the news updates. Thank you for watching to the end. You're the reason we make this media. Love your face. Remember to stay private and mind your biz.